Okay, guys, I'm going to go ahead and show you how to use Davinci Resolve. Go ahead and open her up. Open Untitled Project. This one I'm going to name Blarb. And make sure to set your save location. And this is specifically where workshop recordings that are still workable inside DaVinci will be saved. This is not your finished product. This is not where this is going. So I have created a file inside my workshop recordings file called raw workshop footage, and that's where I save all this to. And that means if something ever happens, if I go to save the finished product somewhere and something's wrong, I can come back to the workable project here, fix it, re-export it, and have a better video. So I'll go ahead and create. I'll click create. All right. So once you get here, I'm going to come down to the bottom right-hand corner, settings. Go ahead and click on that. You're going to want your timeline resolution to be set to 720p. As long as this says that, you're good to go. It probably won't start there. It'll start somewhere in this range, so make sure that you do this before, especially your first project, but definitely before any project. Here we're going to do 1280 by 720. Timeline frame rate. If you don't know what to do here, it's best to just click 30. Very often it'll change to 24. Once you add your footage, it'll end up asking you, would you like to change your footage settings? And it'll end up changing this to whatever's going to work best for that footage. But not knowing, always do 30 if you don't know. Down here, video resolution, we also want this to be 720p right here. Last thing we're going to do here, come all the way down to where it says proxy media format. ProRes 422 HQ, that is way better resolution than what we're needing for our self-tapes. So that'll make it a bigger file, that'll make it longer to try to send, all of that stuff. So go ahead and switch that to H.264. That will need to be changed every single time. Go ahead and click save. And now we're ready. Go wherever it is that you can find the files that you've recorded or downloaded that you would like to edit. Mine is right here, so I'm going to go ahead and do a click and drag. Or if you don't want to do the drag and drop method, you come up here where it says import media. Go ahead and click on that. That'll just, if you click on the arrow, it'll give you options for import media, import entire folder, or import something from the Blackmagic Cloud folder. Right now, we're just importing media, so you could just click here and it'll bring that up. Now here's what I meant. You go ahead and you put something in the media pool and it asks, would you like to change the project frame rate? Essentially making sure that your frame rate on the video and your frame rate in here in DaVinci are going to be the same, so there's no problems. Always click yes, change, and then here we go. So now I am actually going to bring this down and just drag it right in. Most of our stuff that we're going to be editing to create self-tapes, it's going to need to have the beginning part of whatever we recorded chopped off, because it's usually us turning on the camera, walking back to our audition setup, making sure our hair looks good. Give yourself some time, clear your throat, do whatever you got to do. Just remember to cut that out. So here is what we're working with. This is our workshop footage from last night. Okay, so in DaVinci, once you go ahead and put your project in, it pops up here with a second kind of copy of this. It's just showing you that this is in your timeline and this is what it looks like so far. As you continue to edit, this will gradually change. Nothing you need to worry about. Just wanted you to know why there is suddenly a duplicate looking file right there. So what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and cut off the beginning.
Hey, Leslie.
Sorry, Julie. She's just
Hey,
saying, hey, I'm gonna,
Leslie.
that's it. That's just her saying, hey, let's. But because of the way that this is set up, if you want to, if you don't want to constantly hear the sounds, which very often we need to be able to hear audio so that we can make sure it's matching the video, especially if we need to clip something out. But at this point, if it's a little bit annoying to hear people while you're scrolling,
Okay, okay.
you just go over here, click this speaker right here and mute it. Now you can drag through without having to hear the garbled audio as you're fast forwarding and rewinding. Down here is kind of a list of different ways that you can work on this project if you wanted to. You can go to this section. This is just looking at all of the media, what you have in here. This section is called Cut. This is often where it's the easiest to edit when you're first starting out. This one is called Edit, so don't necessarily get distracted by that. When you click on Edit, it takes you to a completely different format. You'll notice the scissors, the little cut scissors are gone. They're not up here anymore. So that can be kind of confusing. But this razor right here, that is what cuts now. If you're in this particular setting, if you're in edit. The only thing that I will say about this is if you are going to edit from here, which you certainly can, this is a place where you can actually zoom into your timeline and zoom out of your timeline so that you can really get into the nitty-gritty and like cut right between breaths or, those types of things. But this is the only spot where you can zoom in and really get into that. What you would do if you wanted to cut something in this particular space, you'd have to use the razor. But if you're going through and you're like, oh, here's where I want to cut it. All right, you can see that it's two separate things there. Now I just want to move it. Oh, wait, why is it not moving? Because I still have the razor on. So all of those clicks that I just made to try to move the timeline, they cut every single time I clicked because I still had the razor blade option highlighted. So what happens if you do something like this? At that point, you're going to go up to the top of Davinci Resolve where it says Edit, and you're going to click Undo. And you're going to go through and do that as many times as you need to undo your mess. If you go in here and try to do it again, it's just going to happen again. That's because this razor is still highlighted. In Edit, you specifically have to click on what you're trying to play with and then go back to the cursor if you just want to move things around. This is also a spot where you can actually move the red paddle rather than the timeline itself. So it will move with you if you go farther outside of the purview than what you can see right there. But always remember, if you're in Edit and you're messing with something, you have to click the cursor before you can go back to actually editing, or you're just gonna cut it up everywhere you click. So just make sure that you pay attention to that if you are gonna edit with inside the editing bay. If you just wanna not have to worry about that, stay here in the cut bay. One thing that you need to pay attention to, though, if you are going to go back and forth between the edit bay and the cut bay, I would always say use cut when you're just learning DaVinci, when you're just figuring it out. Because if you do start going back and forth before you're used to it, you might end up leaving holes. And what I mean by that is when you are in this cut bay and this center red paddle is always going to be where the cut is, where the split clip happens. When you click split clip over here, it's always going to split that clip right where that red paddle is. And if you were to delete this right here, automatically it brings those two clips together, right? Right. Let me go ahead and undo this real quick. Now, if I were doing this in the edit bay, and I had used my little razor and I cut this chunk right here and then went in to delete it, it leaves a hole. And if I go back here, that hole is still there. It does not bring those two things together. And if you aren't paying attention when you're flipping back and forth, you may end up sending somebody something that has a full minute and a half long hole in the middle of it, which they are obviously not going to want to sit through or fast forward through. So really pay attention. If you just like going back and forth, great. Make sure you're paying attention. If you are in the edit bay and you leave a hole, it's easy enough as long as there's only one clip. See, if it were, let's say this were where that hole originally was, and I saw the hole and I just really quick grabbed that and wasn't paying attention. It didn't grab and bring down the whole rest of the video. It just brought back that one clip I was highlighting. Now, I accidentally just squished something. Let me undo that real quick. There we go. So, what we have to do if there is more than one clip back here, like say all of these clips were back here, I wouldn't want to have to zoom in and move every single one single-handedly, do one of these each time. So what you can do is click outside of the timeline so that nothing's highlighted, and then click and drag to pull this box over everything you want highlighted, everything you want to move together. And now I can move those things together and make sure that the hole in the timeline is fixed. Again, this will pop up here. It's fixed it over here. Everything's fine. And if you're starting in the cut bay and you're editing here, it does automatically move everything together and it will be the same here. Don't worry about that. It's when you cut from the edit bay that it will delete and leave holes. So anything you've cut and then deleted here, it will leave a hole in the entire video and you'll be able to see it from both bays. Now, if you do want to play with jumping back and forth between the cut bay and the edit bay, if you find a hole, you'll understand what happened and you won't be confused and frustrated. And when you do, like here, let's find the spot that we wanted to cut. Go ahead and do that right there. You click cut and it cuts, but it doesn't highlight this. It doesn't make it so that every time you go in here, it's going to cut something. But one thing that's kind of nice is it does highlight this green highlight that's happening right here. It's letting you know that you did cut that and it was successful. So you go ahead and if you want to delete part of it, you click on and make sure that this that's highlighted in red, this is what's going to be messed with, deleted, edited. So anything that you have highlighted is what you're working on at that point. Make sure you're deleting the right thing. Go ahead and click delete. We can go through and we can watch it and see which take of ours was the best. And let's go ahead and say that we are doing a self-tape and this isn't a class. Just picture yourself up there yapping away about an audition. So let's say this first take didn't go well. And right about here, we'll say that's where the take ended. So I'm going to go ahead and drag this over, make sure that my red paddle is exactly where I want it to be for where I'm going to cut that quote unquote bad take. Click. All right, that bad take is highlighted. Delete the one that you don't like. Delete. Now I've just got my good take. When we are doing self-tapes and we are editing them ourselves, the urge to put in title cards, the urge to put in transitions, those types of things, the urge is real because you feel like, well, I've just chopped this up. They're not going to know. Like, they're not going to know. So I have to, you know, put some information on there. You really don't, though. When they open up your audition, they know it's your audition because your name should be on the file. And when the video opens up, your slate should be the first thing they see. My slate would be, hello, my name is Tabitha Brooke. I am reading for Karen and I'm with Autograph Talent. Sometimes they'll ask you, you're in Spokane, whatever. So that is what would go at the very front. That is what tells them who you are, what you're reading for, and who you're with. You don't need a title card. You don't need an end card that says the end or goodbye or anything like that. Just leave the raw footage and start it at the beginning of your audition. Make sure you've cut out anything, any takes that you didn't like. One thing I will also say about making your own self tapes, do not edit a good take out of a bunch of bad takes. Meaning, oh, I like my slate on that one, so I'll keep that slate, but I don't like the way that I said that third line, so I'm going to cut out that third line from that one and take the third line from a different take and slip that in there. No, that's not, they don't want to see your editing techniques. They don't want to see that you can edit together a good take. They want to see that you can give a good take from beginning to end. That's what we are expected to do as actors in front of the camera. Now, are there going to be mess ups on set? Of course, we all know this. But when they are auditioning you, they really want to make sure that you can get the lines out convincingly without having to be edited around immediately. And that gives you confidence in what you're doing anyway, because you've actually memorized the part, but it gives them confidence that you can do your job well. So what we don't want to be editing an entire take and have it be clips that are the best out of all of our bad takes. That's not what they're looking for. And very often, the end of our clip needs to be edited as well. You're going to have you falling out of character, clearing your throat, or simply walking forward and turning the camera off. That doesn't need to be there. But as long as they can feel like you concisely clipped the front so that they don't have to watch you getting ready, and you concisely clipped the back so they don't have to watch you finishing up, it's going to be an edited self tape. And so just make sure that all of the clips that you have are clean, meaning from beginning to end of each clip, that is exactly what you want it to look like. So let's just go ahead and say that this is finished. I've got everything in it that I wanted in it. I've got Aubrey's full story of her audition. I can come over here to edit, click on that. That helps me zoom out so that I can see it a little bit easier. Okay, I know exactly what I got here. If you are going to send this in as an audition, don't ever mute it like we did here at the beginning over. Take this off where it says unmute, like mute track. Make sure that it's not muted so that you can go through and you can review what you have. Never, never edit something and then just send it off without making sure, 100% sure, that what you're sending off is what you want the casting director to see. That will save you trouble in the long run. So here we are. It's finished. I got everything edited in that I wanted, like my slate. I got the right take. It's all there. So now we're going to come up to this top right-hand corner. This is the export. I'm going to click on that. This is always going to show you what your settings were, just so that you can double check and make sure, yes, my resolution was 720. It kept the video code of the H.264. It did change the frame rate from 30 to 25, but that's fine. Everything's good. Go ahead and export. It's asking you now to save, but let them know exactly what you're saving. This is not going to be saved to the exact same spot that the workable project was saved. This is your finished project. So wherever you would like that saved, make sure that you have that chosen here. I always have my edited workshop videos go into a file that's under workshop recordings, specifically where the edited videos go. So I'm going to go ahead and name this Aubrey Chit Chat. All right, save. Now, I saved it as Aubrey Chit Chat because we all know that this is just me editing footage out of something else. This will be what you name your finished product. So if you are doing an audition, almost always there will be something inside your avail check or inside your audition notice that lets you know this is what the file needs to be named. If you do not name the file the way they have asked you to, there is a very good chance they won't even watch your footage because they take that as you cannot follow instructions, so they're not going to even bother. That is kind of like a prerequisite. It's a way to show them I can follow instructions. and I am paying attention. I've got everything in here that you've asked for. So make sure that when you do go through here, you click export and you change the file name of your saved footage. Make sure you save that as the name that they have asked you to send it to them with, okay? That'll make that a lot easier. So now, let me go ahead and click out of here. It is done exporting. Click out of here. And it always gets saved in my acting folder. I've got gig scripts, all different media, recordings, resume, self-marketing, and Actors Collab workshop. Now, if I was saving this as something outside of the workshop, if it was an audition, say, I would actually have that here. Mostly everything that I edit goes here because I'm editing a lot of workshop footage. Right here, workshop sides, meaning scenes and monologues. Workshop recordings is where I should go. Edited workshop videos is where I saved it. Raw workshop footage is where I saved the project so that I could go back and work on it later. But the finished workshop footage will be here. Here is all of my edited stuffs. And then Aubrey Chit Chat, the one we just named, is right here.
First of all, I think I was very, very confident.
Okay, so now I can look at that. Yep, that's exactly how I want it to look. It doesn't look bad. The sound works. Great. Send it off. Hope that was helpful. If you guys have any questions, hit me up and I can make another video.